States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a reminder to please turn your microphones on and your cell phones off if you have them. Let's see. Andrea, roll call vote, please. Or roll call. No vote.
Mayor Bain.
Here.
Counselor Baker.
Here.
Counselor Quinlan.
Here.
Counselor Scalisi.
Here.
Counselor Sherman. Here.
We've all had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting, September 10th. Are there any additions or changes? Nope. Okay, hearing nothing, we will go to a motion to approve as submitted. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, minutes are approved. Visitors and delegation, we don't have any delegation scheduled tonight. Do we have anyone that would like to citizen comment? Okay, moving on to 5, management, we have none. Moving on to finance.
Sorry, I'm looking ahead already for
Oh, okay.
budget stuff. I was like, all right, come on, guys. It's on me. Duh. I got it. Just testing you guys. Okay. I make a motion to approve expenditures from September 10th through the 24th of 2018 totaling $429,750.59.
We have a motion, we have a second?
A second.
A motion and a second, discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Bain.
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan.
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi.
Yes.
Counselor Sherman.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to staff reports. Finance, Joanne.
Are you going to do item B under finance?
Of course we are.
See, we're all mixed up. I
I
wanted to have that.
One mistake always leaves another one.
Yes, that's
Okay,
the problem.
moving on to 6B. Department present line item request for the 2016 budget. 19 budget. Monty and Joanne. Who wants to go
Look
first?
on the glasses there, hang
I'll-
on to your shirt collar.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and lead things off here, and Joanne can add in as she needs to. But these are the line item requests from each of the different departments. What's very important for council members and the public to understand is that we're gonna go over this fairly quickly because a lot of these different items are exactly the same from last year. So if the fuel and everything in that department's line item is the same, there's no significant change. You're just gonna go right over that, go to anything that has approximately about $1,000 or more in change, or something very new that they might add to their budget. They'll touch on those. And so keep in mind that we go over this just to highlight the changes, but with the council members, if you have any questions, comments about other items after tonight's meeting, contact Joanne or I and just say, hey, we have questions about whichever line item it is. And you'll see the line items as you go through the budget, and so you'll be able to identify those very easily. I have to look them up still. Joanne's got them all memorized, all 5,000 line items. I can't remember what they are. But she can tell you by heart. But so it will go relatively quickly tonight, and we're only really highlighting the changes for you. But for any council members that might be newer or just need a refresher, just give us either an email or a call and we can explain more about those particular line items. Joanne, anything to add to that?
No.
Okay, and then so at the very first section of that, there's a list of the order that we're gonna go in. We're gonna start with the police department, and then each of the other departments will follow suit according to that schedule. Okay?
Evening. So we didn't have a lot of changes in the police department, and kind of like Monty said, I'll just touch on where we are seeing changes. We'll start with 1213 under arms and ammo. In the 2018 budget, we were at $11,000. We're requesting, it's actually more of an allocation from another line item to bring that to $13,000. And what that is with the training standards we do when it comes involving firearms, additional costs, with ammunition and stimunitions that we are utilizing more and more for training. That's having a pretty good impact on our firearms budget. So we're going to be asking to pull $2,000 from training and move it over there. As it's actually for training, it just it's a little more fitting to offset it with that. On 1301, if I go too fast, just stop me. So on 1301, which is professional services, we'll be reducing 2019 by $10,300, and that is a reflection of the city attorney's status with the city. So that won't have that won't be an impact on that any longer. On 1308, which is medical, we are asking for $1,000 more there, and that is mostly we'll see that need for more intensive, more appropriate psychological exams on new hires and/or incidents that we have that may require an officer to go back for further exams or after incidents, something like that. Travel and training was the one I'd mentioned. It's 1405. We were at $16,000 for 2018, and that would, by reallocating the $2,000, would bring us down to $14,000, and that would be going directly over to firearms. Building maintenance, 2018, we were at $12,000. We've achieved all those projects we had, and so we'll be asking to reduce that to $6,000 for 2019. Under 1526, which is animal care, the building, the dog pound out there, we were at $6,500 last year because we had some projects. We still have not finished those, so we're wanting to carry that same number over into 2019. Gas and oil, we did look at a $3,000 reduction there. I think we were still going to look at them numbers a little bit more, Joanne, but I believe we were bringing that from $27,000 in 2018 to $24,000 in 2019. Tires, we're asking, 2018 budget was $2,500, and 2019 we're asking for $5,000 total there. And the reason for that is in the past we had purchased a large amount of tires, but we are now just wanting to buy them as needed. Tires have a shelf life, and we're not wanting to store them and then utilize them 3 years later. It's really just more of a safety issue than anything. And those are the changes for the police department.
Great, thank you.
Next is Karen.
Under the community development budget, the majority of this is status quo from last year to from this year to 2019. There are a couple of line items under the professional services category I need to draw your attention to, however. The first is 1303, engineering. That line item is related to just miscellaneous smaller projects, and we see a significant increase there from $7,000 to $15,000. That's to take care of the setting of additional flood elevation benchmarks in and around the city that will make surveying easier for some of the other surveyors. We did not get to that project this year. And then there's also funds in there for next year for putting together a development standards guide that should help the development community. The next line item, 1304, consultant. This is where we look at a variety of smaller planning related kind of projects and anticipate needing to dive into a few of those next year. There's some ordinance updates and such that we want to tackle. And so that line item is budgeted at $20,000 for next year, the request, shall we say. And then the next item, 1305, inspectors. That's where we take care of the building permit plan review and a variety of inspections associated with building construction in the community. We have a pretty substantial project coming through, and it's not clear whether or not that will hit plan review this year or next year. So that's part of the reason you see a very large estimated number for the end of 2018 in that line item, as well as a substantial number of 40,000 in 2019. Joanne is very aware of this, and towards the end of the year in your final budget, you'll see that flush out probably one way or the other. But at the moment, we've got reserve numbers in both of those categories. And then the next item that I want to draw your attention to is 1317, fee rebate incentive. We use this line item intermittently depending upon whether or not we have a large project associated with any type of economic development incentives that council might approve. This is highly premature and just a placeholder. There is a project in coming weeks that the city administrator will be visiting with you about, the possibility of an incentive package. You all may choose to not approve it or approve it at a different level. So the number I've got in there of 35,000 is purely just a placeholder. And it's large enough that it's got Joanne's attention, and that will get fleshed out with the final budget as well. So that's the only thing I wanted to draw attention to under community development. The next section of the budget relates to the airport, and what I have in front of you as a request for next year is basically a status quo request from this past year. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Lance, you're up.
I kind of threw away everybody else's stuff, so I wasn't sure if I was up or not. As far as the cemetery goes, everything's pretty much the same as the previous year. So on to page number 28 in the parks. And what I want to draw your attention to is 1212, our sprinklers. This past year we had a sprinkler clock that was hit by lightning that we had to replace, and then about 2 weeks after that, in the heat of the summer, our well over there at the Joslyn Needham complex, the casing broke, so we had to bring Canfields in for a major fix on that right in the middle of the summer. And it was kind of one of those things where it had to be done, and there wasn't a lot of time to mess with it because it was so hot and we needed to get water on the field. So that is why there is such a large estimate on sprinklers during that time. We are also putting in backflow preventers, which was something new that the health department now is requiring. And so we are knocking those out park by park and the cemetery. So there's a little bit of an increase in sprinklers repairs for next year because of that, those backflow preventers. So that's the parks. We move on to recreation. There's not a lot of change in a lot of the stuff. It's all pretty much, we'll go straight across. One thing that I did have an increase this year with our swimming pool. Once we filled it up, we had a issue with some of the piping there, and we ended up having to drain the pool and re-put chemicals in. And that was the reason our chemical line item was actually a couple $1,000s more. I did up it because chemicals are becoming more and more expensive, and with the leaks that are in the pool right now, we're losing a lot of water. Hopefully that'll be taken care of with one of my capital improvement requests, which is to repaint the pool and seal all the cracks. But that is a pretty high dollar amount, and if not, we're going to have to spend a little bit more money in chemicals every year. So we are working to get that rectified, and hopefully with the foundation's help, that'll be a project that we're going to be able to get done this next year, is repainting the pool. Outside of that, the only other significant change in the budget is not so much is that I combined our competitive baseball and just regular baseball. It just became a nightmare for Joanne and I to try to see which, did I buy this baseball out of a competitive baseball fund or out of regular baseball fund? So we just combined everything together just to make it a little bit simpler on us and everybody else dealing with the budget. So that goes for girls fast pitch too. So you'll see that we've kind of eliminated the competitive aspect, and it just all goes into youth winter for girls fast pitch, and it goes into boys baseball for baseball. keep moving forward to the golf course. Page 50. Page 50 on the golf course, 45, 437, 1206 chemicals. We did have an increase there. After we talked to Marty at Graft Turf Farms, he felt that part of the reason we lost the fairways was a lot of the winter kill. We had a very dry summer, not a lot of water was put on it in November, and he felt our fertilizer program was lacking pretty much. So we talked to a few of the fertilizer companies, and they agreed. And so not only did we have to reapply this year, they said in future years we probably need about a 3 times a year application, especially if we have the hot weather like we had again with this very short grass. We need to be able to put a little bit more care into our grass and everything like that. So that's the reason for the $5,000 increase. If you go over to the bar and restaurant, this is now will be our 5th year at the golf course. So we're starting to get a lot better feel for how much stuff costs, and we're doing a lot better with waste and all that sort of thing within the restaurant. And so we are actually lowering our requests in the restaurant expense and also the bar expense to reflect that. We're getting a lot closer at being able to estimate the cost for a year, and then we're also going to be adjusting a lot of our prices with the new minimum wage regulations in all of our activities, whether it's recreation, our parks, our camping fees, all that. We're kind of evaluating those and going to come something to council with that too, because as we paid more for minimum wage, we have to reflect that in our prices for burgers and everything else too. So we're working on that right now. Other than that, that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of major changes anywhere along the line, and be happy to answer any questions if you might have them.
Yeah, it was interesting to note the restaurant expense, even in 2016 to now, is almost half. We've got
Right.
it down, cut it in half almost.
In 2016 was because we didn't have plates, we didn't have dishes,
Right.
we didn't have glasses, so
You had to purchase
there was
all
just so much of that stuff that the foundation didn't cover that we had to come up with, and we were wasting a lot of food because we were in over our head at first, and we're starting to figure it out now.
Any other questions? Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. And I hate to sneak out of here, but I got my daughter at home, so
Okay.
and nobody watching her, so who
No
knows what's
sneak.
going to happen. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Colrick.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just like so far, it's going to be kind of an echo chamber that this budget is sort of like what the budget we've had for the last couple of years. In the street department, one of the changes that you will notice is going to be on gas and oil. One of those very volatile products, you never know where it's going, but a lot of these numbers that we've had in the past was all based around this $70, $100 a barrel oil, and it still seems to be status quo. So I'm actually dropping that by $13,000 next year in order to better reflect our historical use. And then with the water department, about the only change you're really going to see is on vehicle O&M. We dropped that down by $1,000. We haven't experienced the repairs that were anticipated. And then trash and garbage fund is where you're probably going to see the biggest changes in the line items. Just to highlight a few, on the building shop, we're raising that from $1,900 to $4,000 for next year as these guys get more and more settled into that newer shop, and it's starting to need the maintenance and repairs. Things like we're going to have to get people up there to tighten down the screws on the roof, and then just any of the other items that come along with it. And then also with chemicals, you'll see this for 2019 that has been dropped to zero. We typically do not use chemicals now out there at the shop. Before, when it was in a more enclosed environment, there were things like deodorants and certain soaps that they would use on these trash trucks. But now that they have their own building, the only real chemicals that are being used are for pest control, and of course I've rolled that back over in the building and shop. So hopefully that line item for chemicals will go away. And then we have county landfill tipping fees. There's been a state increase. This is not something our county commissioners have done. This is something the state of Colorado has done. And they have increased the tipping fees to $1.50 per ton. And so when looking at what we've done in the past, plus expecting this increase, I've increased that by $10,000 for 2019. And then under repairs, you'll see from 2018 to 2019, we've reduced that in half, down to $5,000 from $10,000. Reason being is we do have the new trash truck that our Frank is driving, and we have not had to do the major overhauls on this newer trash truck that we've had to do in the past. So we've captured some savings there. And the same with tires. Tires here, again, there are DOT rules. They do have a shelf life as what they were said, especially for recaps. But as such, I think going from $10,000 to $7,000 actually reflects our true usage in terms of tires. Moving on to wastewater, you should not see a whole lot of change there. However, I will draw your attention to page 74. And about mid-page, you will see lab fees. That was me with a happy finger. I am not increasing from $45,000 to $750,000. So please, that's a happy finger on my part there. And I do apologize. That would be. But we're going from 50,000 to 70,000. And the reason being is we are increasing that line item a bit because we are doing a lot more testing as regulations become more and more implemented. And then finally, we have the stormwater budget, and again, status quo, no change at this point. And I'll be, again, happy to answer any questions should they arise. Thank you.
Thank you. I showed Tyler up next.
I think Joanne was going to cover all of that.
Okay.
This department is a really tough one to review. I just would like to report at this time there are absolutely no changes.
We all saw that. Our fire chief, Ted Anderson.
I'm similar to everybody else. There's really no changes in the budget other than there was a missed line item last year. It was $1411 and it shows $250 for 2018. That $250 was supposed to be under $1412 for other, and then it should have shown $9,000 or $8,000 for radio maintenance, and somehow that got missed. Other than that, that will be a $9,000 same, as last year, and I think an increase from the year before. But other than that, no other changes.
Okay, the only change to the city clerk budget is in the line item 1501 for elections. I have raised that $4,000 for 2018, just an estimated cost of our recall election. And then that total will stay the same for 2019 as we will have candidate elections in 2019 and possibly any other topic questions. That's
Okay.
it. Anything?
Thank you.
Tad just went, didn't you?
I did.
Make sure. Okay, real quickly, page 99 is the legislative department, and that is the city council themselves, minus the mayor. And really the only change there is on 1405, which is travel and training. And we're just really advocating for council members to attend conferences and go get that additional training or education that helps out with being on council. And so it's good to see you guys go, become a little more active, a little bit more used. So we went up by $1,000 there. That was the only one significant for legislative. Page 101 is the executive department, and that is the mayor's, and there are no changes to the mayor's budget. And for those that are here, when we're flipping through these, there's really only like 3 items on here: travel and training, and some association dues and computer maintenance. There's not a whole lot to review on those. City administrator, everything is pretty much the same as in the past, just some reductions in cost in the budget for vehicle operation and maintenance. So you see a reduction there, so no changes or increases. And then if we go to page 107, this is administrative. And the items that I'm going to point out are 1405, travel and training. And I increased that by $1,000 for this next year. Our administrative staff, they go to trainings as well, and all these conference dues and everything, they're slowly creeping up, so we're just adjusting for those. And then on advertising, that's how we do a lot of our advertising for public notices, those type of things. And anything else that we do, and so costs have been going up a little bit there, so we went up $1,000 there. And then, if you flip the page, item 1504, employee incentive. That's where we have our Christmas party, we have our float in the parade, we also have a city picnic that we typically do every year. That's where that comes out of, and those costs have been going up as well, so I increased that by $1,000. I think that was the last section, right?
I think so.
Okay, so that was the last section for the line item request, and I always remind council that this right now is the first glimpse that we have this whole document together for the line items. Joanne's gonna run through it a few more times. If we have any questions from the city council, we'll look at those and make adjustments case by case if needed. You're also gonna be getting another piece of this next year's budget, which is the capital improvement request. And those are capital requests, which are the larger projects and things that are not under general operation and those type of things. And so you'll get that at the next one. And we always give you little sections of this at a time because it's a pretty large document to absorb. And then once we get to our budget retreat, which is in November, council and staff will have the chance to go through section at a time, and you'll see it all put together in final draft form for your approval, so that we can get it adopted by the second week of December, and then we have to submit to the state after that. So through the whole process, just any questions, concerns, give us a shout as soon as you can so we can address that.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, staff reports. Joanne, finance.
I have nothing.
Police, Corey. Community development, Karen. Lance is not here. Public Works, Dale.
At the risk of sounding redundant, I have nothing.
Fire, Tad.
Give
us
I
something.
don't have a lot. As you notice, there's some good stuff happening at the fire station. We should be seeing some doors going up this week. As you see, all the siding's done. The roof is almost complete, and framing's going up. It's going like a madhouse right now. So, pretty exciting.
Monty and I, Karen, Tyler had a tour this week and looked at what was going on. It was
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah, it's coming together really
Exciting.
well. So, that's it.
All right.
Nothing major.
That's a good one. Thank you, Ted.
Hey, Ted?
Yeah.
Do you have a percentage completion from the contractor on that?
I don't. I can give you an estimate price,
Oh, no.
65, 70, but
Yeah.
but no, I don't have one from the
Okay.
contractor at
They
this time.
they have been given kind of a weekly or every 2-week thing, and I'd say that's pretty close, 65 or 70 now.
That's wonderful.
Okay, City Clerk, Andrea.
I'm just gonna nag you about meeting dates. I'm going to be calling the RSVPs in for the September 27th City County meeting hosted by Hill Rose. So if you're not listed on here as going and want to go, let me know. And then the October 4th CML Fall District Meeting in Ray, I need to RSVP for that also. Then we have the Eastmoreland County Hospital Fall Affair on the 20th, and we have our city table, so if you'd like to go, let me know. And then I want to make one correction. I had the November 2019 budget retreat as November 15th, and it's November 14th. So I'll make that correction for next time. That's it.
City Administrator, Bonnie.
Okay, a few items. At a previous work session, the city council had asked for me to visit with the railroad in regards to the blockages on the tracks. And so I have had with the BNSF's Government Relations, Public Affairs Officer, we've been discussing it a little bit through email. And he said one of the things that really could help is for him to understand how much the true blockage of the road is, Clayton and Hospital Road, is for residents to send them through their website just a quick notice of what's going on, so that you go onto their website. You don't have to do a login, password and all that. You can just go there and it goes right to their contacts, and a little drop down bar, and you just push what you're complaining about or have an issue with, and give them date, time, location, and that way he has something to refer to, and then he can go back to their dispatch and operations people so that they can track down what was actually going on at the crossing. And there are not only BNSF trains there, there's also some Union Pacific trains that come through there as well. There's some type of working relationship there. So if they have better data, exact times, they can go in and get true numbers of how long the train was actually parked in a certain place. Because sometimes you'll have a person says, well, the train was blocking the track for 2 or 3 hours, and then other people say, well, it was 20 minutes, but it wasn't. But another one came in after the 30-minute break. But they're supposed to try and clear the tracks every 10 or 15 minutes at minimum. So the website is www.bnsf.com/contact. And you just go to and I'll hand it out for council. I got plenty of copies. And I'm also going to be visiting with Ebenezer to see if some of their staff can just kind of watch that, and whenever they see a train stand there for a long time, to just take that few seconds, put on your favorites bar and pop on it and fill it out, and just we can log it in. The other thing is the mayor asked me to check on, or I guess one of the main complaints was that some of the semi-trucks going up to the crossing, they get stuck, and if it is 30 minutes, an hour, or something like that, some of them are trying to back out, but they're backing out onto the state highway. And so if we have better data on that too, we can try and get CDOT looped in it as well as a safety issue that we're dealing with, and maybe there could be some other type of assistance out there that we can look for. So I'll get that information to council, and we can just get the word out to help start really documenting what the true issue is and how long those trains are really on the tracks. He did also say that they have, as far as volume and numbers, they are at like an all-time high. So there's more freight being moved than ever. So that's also causing some of the issues with the blockages, just a lot more going through the area. Next item, the police chief interviews. Last week we had interviews where we had a community panel interview some candidates, and then we also had a police chiefs panel. They interviewed the potential police chiefs, and then this week we have a staff meet and greet where we're down to 3 finalists now, and staff will do a meet and greet, and then I will do an interview as well that day. It's going to be Thursday, and then shortly after that we should be at a point where we've narrowed it down to 1 finalist that we'll select. So we'll keep council posted as we go through that process. And then Fire Chief Tad already gave you an update on the fire department building, and the only thing I can add is that they want to get it all the way enclosed in the next week or 2, so it's totally tight, and then all the finish work on the inside starts. So excited about that. One thing that we want to bring back to council in the near future is a possibility of a digital marquee out there. So we'll see where that discussion takes us. So we can start advertising different community events, things like that on a digital marquee that we have control over, so. So I have.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 8, mayor and council reports. Mayor, any reports?
I would just like to mention that, this Saturday, the high school, we have our cross-country meet. And we started at Beaver Valley and we ran over to the golf course, and this year we're not gonna cut across to the golf course. We wanna try to make it a little more spectator friendly. However, that involves then running more on citizen roads. So we're gonna be, from, say, on Glacier, we'll use that, city street as well as Bob Boulevard. Then we're gonna cut north on Bob Boulevard and hit Ann Avenue and then head out on, I think it's Road S1 and then, I think it's Morgan County Road 26 and back it back out. So just, we can kind of let residents know that, from about first race starts at 9 a.m. and we should be off of the streets by 11. And then we're gonna finish again back at the Beaver Valley. But so if you're kind of in that neighborhood, you can just kind of, we'll have people kind of marshaling the course, but just to kind of be cautious of, there will be quite a few people out in the streets on this Saturday.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I attend the museum meeting.
Pull your microphone down. There you go, for those folks.
I talk loud enough, I don't need my, anyway, I attend the museum meeting the other night, and I'm just really impressed with what they do out there. They do a great job, it just really is wonderful.
Good, yeah. Dan, looks like you're getting ready.
I'm getting ready.
Okay, go
My
ahead.
turn. On behalf of the Brush Chamber, I wanted to make sure we thank the city, recreation, fire department, Dale for all the help, the police department for all the help in making sure that the Oktoberfest was a huge success.
Absolutely.
So, thank you again, and the man above for making sure it was a nice day.
Yes, it was. He had a lot to do with that. A lot of city employees I saw out there helping and volunteering. It was great. A lot of good responses from people. A lot of people that loved it downtown realized that at the park, there was probably more people at this one I've ever seen, even downtown, but you had a lot of room too. So I think it went over very well.
I agree.
I loved seeing the helicopter out there too.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, anyone else? Okay, we have one short work session item on the agenda.
You need to adjourn.
Pardon me? No, I'm going to.
Okay.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?